Clara stood in front of the old family house, the weight of memories pressing down on her shoulders. It felt strange to be back after so many years. The house had been abandoned since her mother fell ill, and now, with her passing, the place felt even emptier, though still heavy with stories Clara preferred to forget. She turned the key in the lock and pushed the door open, which groaned in protest. The smell of old wood and accumulated dust filled her nostrils. The floor creaked under her feet, and the walls, adorned with old paintings, seemed to watch her. Every room brought back memories of a troubled childhood, marked by arguments between her parents and her father's sudden disappearance when she was still young. After dropping her bags in the hallway, Clara began to explore the house slowly, her eyes fixed on one specific room, her parents' old bedroom. She hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. There, in the corner of the wall, was the mirror. The broken mirror. Clara approached it cautiously. The ornate frame, now covered in dust, was still beautiful, but the glass was cracked in several places, like scars that never healed. She remembered the last time she saw the mirror intact, before a violent fight between her parents years ago. That was the night everything changed. Trying to push the thoughts away, Clara turned her back on the mirror. She knew she had come back to deal with the house, but what she feared most was what the house might reveal about herself. And the mirror, in particular, seemed to hold more secrets than she wanted to remember. In the following days, Clara kept busy cleaning the house and organizing the belongings left behind by her mother. Each room had its own peculiarities, but none felt as heavy as the room where the broken mirror remained, untouched, like a monument to the past. One morning, while cleaning the hallway, Clara found herself once again drawn to the mirror. She knew she should ignore it, but curiosity got the better of her. She entered the room and stood in front of it. Grabbing a cloth, she began to wipe away the dust from the frame and the parts of the glass that were still intact. That's when she noticed something strange in the reflection. For a moment, she saw a shadow move in the background, but when she looked directly at the room, nothing was out of place. Clara rubbed her eyes, thinking it was just exhaustion or the distortion caused by the cracks in the glass. She continued cleaning, but couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror was watching her, as if the object itself had a presence. Again, shadows in the reflection moved, this time more clearly. It was impossible to ignore. Clara took a step back, feeling a chill run down her spine. It's just the distorted reflection, she muttered to herself, trying to rationalize what she was seeing. Even so, the discomfort remained, and Clara decided not to touch the mirror anymore. At least, for now. That night, Clara had a disturbing dream. In the dream, she was standing in front of the broken mirror, but this time it was whole. The glass perfectly reflected her parents' room, but something was off. She saw shadows wandering in the background, moving between the furniture, as if the past was manifesting in the present. The figures seemed familiar, but Clara couldn't make out who they were. Then the scene shifted. Now, she was in her childhood, watching her mother and father argue violently. They shouted words that Clara couldn't understand, but the tension was palpable. She saw her younger self, a little girl, standing in the corner, wide-eyed and motionless, watching the fight unfold. Suddenly, the mirror in the background shattered with a piercing sound, and everything around her fell silent. Clara woke up gasping, covered in sweat. The dream felt so real that it took her a few minutes to convince herself she was back in the present. The memory of her parents' fight hit her like lightning. It was a moment she thought she had forgotten. During breakfast, the images from the dream wouldn't leave her alone. Clara knew the mirror was triggering something inside her, repressed memories, things she had buried deep within. The discomfort grew when, as she passed the room where the broken mirror stood, she saw a reflection of a scene that no longer existed, a version of the room from the past, intact, as if time had not moved on. The shadows in the reflections were now sharper, and Clara began to wonder if the mirror was revealing something she didn't want or couldn't remember. The dream from the previous night had left Clara in a state of unease that she couldn't shake. In the days that followed, the mirror became a constant presence in her mind, as if it were waiting for something from her. She avoided going into the room, but she couldn't ignore the silent call of the object. One night, unable to resist any longer, Clara entered the room again. The faint moonlight filtered through the cracks in the curtains, illuminating the mirror. Reluctantly, she approached it, her eyes fixed on the fragmented reflection, and the shadows she had seen before began to move again. This time, the figures were clear. She saw a scene from her childhood, the day her father disappeared. In the reflection, she watched a violent argument between her parents. Shouts echoed in the room, but the scene was distorted, as if projected through a foggy filter. Clara saw herself, a younger version, in the corner of the room, watching everything without reacting. A sense of powerlessness washed over her. Suddenly, a horrible truth began to form in her mind. The mirror wasn't just reflecting the past. It was showing something Clara had blocked out, something she couldn't face. There was more to her father's disappearance than she could remember. Terrified, Clara took a step back, unable to tear her eyes away from the scene in the mirror, with the terrible feeling that the truth was about to be revealed. After the revelation in the mirror, Clara began to feel the weight of the truth pressing on her chest. The images she had seen the night before, her parents' argument, and the figure of her younger self, frozen in shock, haunted her. Something terrible had happened that night, and the mirror seemed determined to show the truth she had forgotten. During the day, Clara began to feel like she was being watched, even when she was far from the mirror. It was as if the mirror followed her with its broken fragments, reflecting more than just images, reflecting memories. The figures in the mirror were not just shadows of the past. They were ghosts, repressed memories that were slowly taking shape. Each time Clara approached the room, she felt a stronger presence, as if something or someone was waiting for her in the reflection. She began to doubt her sanity. The scenes in the mirror were now more detailed, clearer, showing things she couldn't ignore. The fight between her parents hadn't ended the way she remembered. Her mother's voice echoed in the reflection, full of rage, and her father seemed more desperate than she had ever realized. That night, Clara had another dream. This time, the mirror wasn't just showing the past, it was interacting with her. In the dream, Clara stood in front of the mirror, but the younger version of herself turned and looked directly at her. "You know what happened," the girl in the mirror said. "You've always known." Clara woke up with her heart racing, feeling that the line between dreams, memories, and reality was becoming increasingly blurred. Fear grew inside her. The mirror knew more than she wanted to remember, and now it seemed on the verge of revealing the final truth. The truth about what really happened to her father. Desperate to end the torment the mirror was causing, Clara knew she had to confront it. That night, with heavy breathing and trembling hands, she entered the room and stood before the broken mirror once again. The room was suffocatingly silent, as if the very air was waiting for what was to come. Clara fixed her eyes on the cracks in the mirror, and suddenly, the familiar figures began to move again. This time, they weren't just shadows or distorted scenes. It was a clear reflection of her childhood, the day everything changed. The argument between her parents came to life before her eyes, now with painful clarity. The words exchanged were cruel, filled with resentment. Her father, who once seemed like the victim of the fight, now showed a different face, a face Clara didn't recognize. Then, the younger version of Clara appeared in the reflection again. The girl in the mirror was no longer just watching. She approached the fight, looked directly at Clara, and whispered, "You know what happened. You can't run anymore." Dread consumed Clara as the truth finally unfolded. During the argument, in a fit of rage, her mother pushed her father. He fell and hit his head on a piece of furniture. The impact was fatal. Clara, still a child, had witnessed everything, but the shock had caused her to block out the memory. Her father's disappearance wasn't a mystery. He had died. Feeling a mix of horror and denial, Clara screamed, grabbed a heavy object from the floor, and threw it at the mirror. The glass shattered with a piercing crack, and the fragments scattered across the room. The mirror was destroyed, but Clara knew that the truth it had revealed could not be undone. The sound of the breaking glass echoed through the room, and Clara stood there, breathless, staring at the shards scattered on the floor. The mirror was in ruins, but the relief she had hoped for did not come. Instead, the silence was heavy, as if the very house was absorbing the impact of the revealed truth. The scenes the mirror had shown still lingered in her mind. Now she knew what she had blocked out all those years. Her father hadn't disappeared. He had been killed in the fight, and she had watched it all, powerless. Clara fell to her knees among the shards, her hands trembling. The reflection of the younger version of herself was in every piece of glass. Even with the mirror destroyed, the fragments still showed the little girl, standing there, watching her. Clara knew that, although the physical mirror was gone, the memories and pain would stay with her. "I always knew," she whispered to herself, as if acknowledging the truth was a step toward freeing herself. But the weight of what had been revealed felt overwhelming. The lies, the distorted memories, and the years of denial were now exposed. Clara felt like she could no longer live in that house, full of secrets and shadows from the past. With her eyes still full of tears, Clara decided it was time to leave. The house, which was once a home, was now a prison of memories she could no longer bear. She stood up, gave one last look at the shards of the mirror, and left the room, determined to leave behind the pain she had carried for so long. As she closed the door to the house for the last time, she heard a faint sound, like glass breaking again. Clara hesitated, but didn't look back. She knew that, even with the mirror destroyed, the past would still follow her in one way or another. And somewhere deep inside, the memories would continue to reflect.